It's now time for Caged Minds Fight Hour on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team with Micah Frankel, keeping you up to date with everything in the world of combat fighting. This is where combat sports lives. And now, here's Micah Frankel.
Welcome to Caged Minds Fight Hour, ESPN Radio, Albuquerque 1017 The Team. I told you guys over the next couple weeks, we were going to go old school. We were going to take some journeys with some local legends. And joining us this morning is David Martinez Jr. How you doing, sir?
Hey, how you guys doing? Good. Just excited to be on here, talk with you guys, and a lot of good New Mexico fighters. A lot of fighters from around the world have been on this, and it's awesome to be a part of it.
Shout out to the Bob Foster Museum. That's where David is actually sitting at while I'm at the Cage Mind Studios, and we're doing this. You guys see the video up on the YouTube. Cage Minds is the website to visit for the latest in combat sports coverage. Combat sports, pugilism specifically, and an illustrious career as a boxer and now coaching, and the family's getting involved in the game. We have a whole lot to get to with David. And the first question always has to be, what drew you to the ring?
It's a long story, but I guess I got a lot of time now. So
We got time, man.
I was getting a lot of trouble as a kid. My dad was in prison a lot of my life, and I just needed a little bit of direction. A friend of mine, he was like, let's go to a boxing gym. So we went to a boxing gym, and I remember going in there, and it was just like dead. There was nobody in there, and then we go back to his house, and his grandpa takes us actually to the Stockton PYA with Frank DeBalis and Richard Chavez, and we were there, and right away, first thing you see a bag, so I go in there and I start hitting it, and Frank DeBalis, hey, get the heck away from that bag, and starts yelling at me, and I'm like, all right. So then I'm walking around and I'm looking at a lot of pictures like this inside there, and I remember seeing this big picture up on top, and I was like, that's very cool. Esteban Cervantes, it was his name. He fought Vinny Pazienza and some other fighters on ESPN. Um, but I remember saying like, man, one day I'm gonna have my picture up on this wall. And then as time went on, my picture did end up on the wall, and then another one over here, and another one over there, and it was really interesting. But I would have never thought it was gonna be like that. Like if you rewind time and think about my first amateur fight, I lost my first amateur fight. As a matter of fact, I got stopped for putting my head down because I was scared to get hit. It's really, really weird. I think about it now, and I'm like, I was scared to get hit. And me, I'll fight with anybody now, but back then, I honestly was scared to get hit. 10 fights later, I ended up winning a national title. I just told myself I was not going to lose ever again, and I did end up losing again, of course, many times. But with every loss, I learned something from them, and came somewhere with it.
When you first go into the gym and you're led there, you said, because you were a little bit of a troublemaker going down a rough path, you go into that gym, you see those posters. Did it take time, or were you ready to change? Did you see that putting the gloves on, doing it in the ring would be a better choice?
It was. I think for me, it was just like the excitement of it and the challenge. I've always been a person that challenges myself. Um, like my buddy Ben over here, if he had a Coke and I had a Coke, more likely in my head I'm gonna think who's gonna finish this Coke first, or I've always been like that. But going, I as far as boxing goes, I've I've always challenged myself. It's the challenge that got me. I remember sparring sessions where I'd get really beat up really bad in sparring sessions. I never really could perform in sparring, but I remember going to the back room and crying, and like the next day coming in and sparring, getting beat up, going to the back room and crying. It happened a lot there in Stockton. There's a kid named Oscar. They called him Mohado Ali. It was his name at that time. They used to he was a really good boxer, but he used to beat me up pretty bad, and then he left. He just left, and then maybe 3 or 4 years later, he comes back. He sees all the pictures on the wall, and he wants to spar with me, and we spar. And that was the last time I seen him. He never came back to the gym.
That environment, being put under a pressure cooker, how do you feel that that benefited you and helped cultivate your skills?
Um, just again, I'm really the type of person that challenges himself. I like to to be the best that I can be, and in that environment at that time, there was that kid Oscar, but there was also another kid by the name of they called him Chicharron, Alberto Garcia. So this is all in Stockton, California. But Alberto Garcia, he was actually a really good pro as well. I think he retired like 2-0, 3-0 as a pro. Um, if you don't have like a good amateur background, if you as a pro, when you turn pro, you're not gonna make much money, and he didn't make much money. So he just kind of he didn't want to do it anymore. He found that he was making more money working.
You were
Anyhow,
You
he
brought up
this
Stockton,
guy.
California several times, and we know that's the home base. I don't know if many people know that. How long did you grow up out there for?
From the age of I want to say about 10 years old. 10 years old. So I was back and forth over there. Um, my dad was in prison when I was a kid, and they transferred him over that way. And he was in the big prison riot in Santa Fe. So anyhow, when we lived out there in Stockton, we lived in a lot of different places with a lot of my aunts and uncles and stuff like that. There when I was there in Stockton, I were with my aunt and uncle. They 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 had some boys, and they were really good fighters as well. My cousin Lincoln, who has a son named Zach, who's now 6-0. He used to live there at that time. There's Lonnie, Larry, Melvin, just a bunch of boys there, and there's always kids at the house. But I was always challenged to because I was always the young one. I was always the young one, so I was always challenged to be more, be better, and and they were all good fighters, and more street fighters than fighters. Lincoln used to box. Lonnie was a boxer as well. So
So
yeah.
this is something that runs in the family.
Yes, definitely. My family's they all love boxing. My uncle Ray had a gym in the here in Albuquerque. Tom Crago was the one that made the gym, and Tom is a big inspiration as far as Albuquerque goes. He passed away, but before everybody called him pops, that was literally like somebody that I looked at like that, like as a father figure. Tom Crago.
So you're growing up and you're traveling back and forth, New Mexico, California, but boxing is a continual presence in the life.
Um, yeah, pretty much. I once I stepped in that gym the first time, I never stopped. I told my uncle Ray that I was boxing, and he was like, "Oh, that's awesome! I used to box too." And I would come down, and then one day he saw me. He's like, "Wow, he's actually really good." I met a fighter by the name of Ray Sanchez. He was a really good fighter at the national tournament in St. Louis, Missouri. That year he won at 119 pounds, Ray Sanchez, and he offered his hand to me, and he said, "Hey, if you ever want to come to Albuquerque, there's a gym that you could train at." So I come down, and he takes me to this gym in the back of a house. Just so happened to be Danny Romero, and I looked up to Danny Romero. So when I saw him, I can't say there was an aura behind him, but it was like you know what I mean? It was like, whoa, that's Danny Romero. You know what I mean? It was pretty crazy. He was a lot smaller than the TV show, but because when you see him on TV, you're like, it's gonna be a big guy. But he's a smaller guy, but that guy, he was a big inspiration to me.
That was one of the first wow moments for you.
Yeah, yeah, and it was all because Ray Sanchez took me to his house. And then from that point on, I would come down every summer and I would train. I would train with them, and I learned a thing or two from Danny. I learned a thing or two from Ray Sanchez the third's. His dad would show me a lot and take me under his wing as well. I remember I'd be waiting for Ray to get out of school, and then would jump in his dad's truck and would drive to the North Valley, and me and Ray be passed out in the truck while his dad's driving. I didn't realize it at that time, but it seemed like a long drive from the South Valley to the North Valley. But now it's not a long drive. But back then, on our way to the gym, it was like took forever.
So you've had the dedication for the game since the gloves slipped on. When did you start thinking that you were getting good at this?
Uh Probably after I won my first national title. I won the national pal that same year that Ray Sanchez won it at 119. I won it at 106 pounds, and I beat every single one of the guys that I beat. I gave them standing 8 counts, and then the very last guy in the finals, I stopped him in the finals, and then I was like, this is nationals, this is the best in the nation, and from that point on, I was like, I'm pretty good at this, and then I kept on just going to national tournaments, and I'm like, when people, it's weird because when people would talk about, oh, I want state, I want state, it was weird to me because I was winning state all the time. Not that state's not a big thing, but I never had my eyes set on state. I was always gonna go to nationals and win the nationals, and that happened a few different times for me. Won the PAL nationals a few times. Um, the the blue and gold, uh, junior golden gloves, U.S. championships. I won that in Colorado Springs, which was the big tournament. That's the big one right there.
How
Yeah.
old were you the first time you made it to nationals?
I want to say I was 14. Yeah, and back then too. Also, like nowadays, they have a lot of different national tournaments that you could kind of like if you pay, you could just go. And but me, I had to like win the local, the state, the regional, and then the national. So I compiled fights really fast. But I was 14 when I won my first national title.
14 years old. Do you remember what the butterflies were like, what the nerves were like, the national stage at that age for the first time?
Yeah, yeah, it was wild. I remember the butterflies I got in my very first. Like I said, I got stopped in my first amateur fight for putting my head down because I was so nervous. My legs were shaking, shaking. It's so crazy when you think about it. But it's part of the game, and then as you learn to use that to your momentum, and yeah.
At what point do you start saying, I'm so good at this, maybe I could be a professional?
Uh, it was early on when I won that national title there in St. Louis, Missouri, the PAL Nationals. Um, it was with Ray Sanchez. There was also Ricardo Williams Jr., who went on to win the silver medal as in the Olympics. Um, I got buddies like Andre Ward. Um, there was Robert Guerrero. All those guys. They were all part of the national tournaments with me. Again, I fought out of California, so those guys were part of the team. Man, I should have. Now you got me puzzled thinking about all those memories. Wow.
You're
So
there.
what's crazy about this whole thing is, like, when I talk about my background, my boxing and stuff like that, it's almost like talking about a whole nother person. It's really it's really weird because I now live a whole different type of life. I got kids. My son boxes. He's the only reason why I got back into the boxing thing is because he wanted to stay out of trouble, and tells me, "Hey, well, I've been wanting to box." I brought him into the boxing gym, and he's just been winning. He's like 7-1 right now as an amateur, and he just won um, the the Golden Glove state title. So that's pretty cool for 7 fights.
What did that mean to you that he came to you and said, Dad, I want to do this. I want to box. Like, did he know? Did you like share with him what you had did?
Yeah, so ever since he was little, I would bring him to the gym and let him hit the bag and stuff like that. But a lot of times too, like he would just go sit down and pass out. But as time went on, he started to kind of grasp on. I didn't realize that he had the talent until I actually started paying attention to him. I didn't want him to box. It's just something that kind of came about because he was getting in some trouble, and that was my way of getting him out of trouble. Just taking him to the gym. The plan is let's wear him out. Let's get him tired to the point to where when we get home, he don't even want to play this video game. He wants to pass out. So that was what we did, and next thing you know, he's actually competing, and he's beating guys with, you know, twice as many fights as he has. It got to a point, like I said, right now he's 6-1, but I had to sign a waiver for him to be open class, so he could fight people with up to as many fights as you could think of, any age. Like the guy he fought the other 2 weeks ago was like 29 years old and was really experienced, and he won. I'm very proud of him. Very proud of my son.
How much is his style reminiscent of yours compared to how much is he just out there doing his own thing?
Uh, he's a good boxer. He likes to stay on the outside. He uses reach. He stays on the outside. I do the same thing. I like to stay on the outside, but he's a lot taller than me. Like I look up to him, but no, he's probably five. He's 5'9", 5'9", 21 pounds. I mean that it's kind of freakish in a way, but he has that same type of style. He stays on the outside, uses his jab. Everything's off the jab, and then with the experience, he's gonna be a lot of trouble because the way he stays on the outside of that jab and kind of sets everything up off of it. Um, his style is reminiscent of mine, and that kind of like molding something together. You know what I mean? And as I see it going, I could see the mold that I made, and it's pretty interesting because it's real reminiscent of my style. You know,
Do you feel like you got your style from piecing things together, or was it more just what
definitely.
was instilled in the gym?
No, I remember all the guys at the gym that like I said, there was a Chicharron, there was a Andres Bravo, Oscar, there's a Toby Flores. He used to hold the mitts for me. He did a lot of mitt work for like Nick Diaz, Nate Diaz, and stuff like that. Those guys, I would look up to those guys, but also like Roy Jones Jr. was a big idol of mine. Oscar De La Hoya, big idol of mine. I remember again Danny Romero, Johnny Tapia. They were big idols of mine. So when I got in the gym and sparred with them, that was it was surreal in a way. But all these different guys are are like part of the style that I've made of my own, and I don't know if I did it to the perfection that they did, but it's as far as my life goes, I could say up to this point, I'm happy with it.
The first time Ray Sanchez takes you back to this gym behind a house and you see Danny Romero,
Huh.
do you get in there and spar Danny?
um yes, we did actually spar, um but I'm at that time I was probably about 14 years old, and I'm pretty sure he was going easy on me, but at the same time, just the movement and the fact that he's a world champion at the time. um I remember thinking to myself, like, you know this is it, this is what I want to do. And the way he would do certain moves and talk, just little things, was a big inspiration to me.
So you got to spar both of them, you said. How much different then was the experience of a Johnny sparring to a Danny sparring?
um Johnny, when I started with Johnny was more outside boxer. Uh, kind of do like certain like do little things, and I remember him, you know, like try this, and then he like nudge me with his knee. Who would think that you could use your knee in a boxing match? You know what I mean? But there's little things, that little tricks. Danny, a lot of people think that Danny's just a straightforward guy. He's really not. He does a lot of angles. He turns. I mean, he was one time pound for pound king at one time.
One time pound for pound king. You're making this amateur run. You've had so many national titles. And before we put a bow on the amateurs, it's like, do you look back at the amateurs and like, wow, I beat this guy? Was there that win where you look at you like, dude, he went on to become this and I got it over in him?
Oh yeah, yeah. I beat some of the best and lost to some of the best. I've been in there with some big name. Robert Guerrero. I fought Robert Guerrero. I fought Mickey Bay. Um, Mickey Bay went on to win the IBF world title. Robert Guerrero, same thing. There was a kid by the name of Jose Aguiniga. I mean, I mentioned these guys, but Jose Aguiniga was a bad dude. He retired 30-0, 30-0, and just decided that it wasn't for him. But we caught up with each other on Facebook, and yeah, he was a big prodigy of Robert Garcia from Oxnard. He was a big prodigy from there, the La Colonia boxing gym. Before anybody even knew of La Colonia, this kid was part of that gym. I remember him coming to the nationals with Robert Garcia boxing shirts on, and I was like, "Who's that?" And he goes, "Oh, this guy that out of my gym that trains me." And yeah, it's just crazy to think that I beat some of these guys, and they went on to do some things. You know what I mean? It's a little upsetting to think that I could have been a little bit more. Unfortunately, some things happened. I suffered a torn retina, and I had to stop boxing a little early.
It's Cage Minds Fight Hour, ESPN Radio, Albuquerque, 1017 The Team. Our guest right now, David Martinez Jr., pugilist, coach, father, boxing historian, obviously, we're getting involved with. Cage Minds Fight Hour, ESPN Radio, Albuquerque, 1017 The Team. Taking a journey with him, the boxing career, amateur, professional. The son's getting involved. I think I even seen your daughter was hitting a bag recently.
Yeah, my daughter Lucy, she also is a really good fighter. Here's she's like my Happy Gilmore. The reason why I say that is because she's a really good baseball player. She wants to be a baseball player, but realistically, she's a boxer. Like Happy Gilmore. If you guys don't know, Happy, he wanted to be this hockey player, but really, he was a golfer, and she just reminds me a lot of Happy Gilmore. So yeah,
Did she also
she's
get in
really
trouble
good.
or did she want to go with you guys to the gym?
Uh, she I think she does it more. It's more to like hang out with me, hang out with her brother. Um, but she's got the talent. She has no fights, and she's in there sparring with. Every time I take her to the gym, she'll go for one day, and then that's that. But she always wants to spar on that one day, and she does good with whoever I throw her in there with, whether it be a girl or a boy, and she does her. Eventually, she's gonna come around. She's gonna be a fighter in the long run. That's my Happy Gilmore.
That's your Happy Gilmore. You had quite the run as an amateur. When was it time to become a pro? What was that process to say we've done enough here as an amateur? We've accomplished all we can.
So I won the U.S. championships in 2001. Um, and at the same time, I ended up having my daughter, uh, Gloria Alexia Martinez, and I couldn't feed her with trophies, and so I was offered by Tom Craigle to move to Albuquerque, and he goes, "We'll take care of you." I said, "All right." So he helped me out. He helped me with some. He'd pay all my bills. Like it was I he was heaven sent. It was really crazy. Tom Craigle was heaven sent, and so I moved out here to take care of me. When I fight, he he's like, "Don't worry about it. Save that money." And he take care of me. Tom Craigle was a really good guy.
And the pro debut happens here in Albuquerque. And if you look at the beginning of your career, the middle of your career, Isleta Resort and Casino is a continual theme.
Right, right. So my pro debut was on Daniel Romero's undercard. Uh, it was a big deal. As a matter of fact, I remember they offering like extra money if you sell your tickets. Anyhow, I ended up selling like a lot of tickets. My grandma and grandpa had 16 kids. 16 kids. I have a huge family here in Albuquerque. So that was another reason why I had to move out here because of the draw, you know. And so when I came out that day, there was a lot of people, a lot of people. And so I remember I fought Alex Becerra for the WBC, the UFRO title, and I came in on the B side for that fight, and he was supposed to be the A side guy, the local, and I had more people in the stands than him, and I ended up winning that title. So
When I look at your early career, is it is it accurate what I'm seeing on BoxRec where you made the pro debut and had the second fight like 3 weeks later?
yeah, yeah, they kept me pretty busy. Um, that was all Big Dan Romero. He had me on a pretty fast track there. And again, like I said, I had a big amateur background, so I was seasoned and ready for the pros when I turned pro.
Was
But
there
yeah,
a big
busy.
adjustment for you going amateur to pro? The style, I know the headgear coming off. I know the way that they judge the punches and bunches versus the consequential punches. For a lot of guys, there's an adjustment.
You don't realize how much you butt heads. You butt heads a lot in there. That was one of the things that was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then I remember putting on the gloves for the first time. No, actually, I remember first the hand wraps. The hand wraps were like a cast, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then when you put the glove on, it slides right on, and it's it's not too much bigger than my hand, you know. And those things, when you get hit by those smaller gloves, it's a different feeling, especially with no headgear, smaller gloves. Yeah.
At what point does it start to build and you think that you really have something and you're envisioning bigger opportunities as a pro?
Um, I knew early on. I mean, even as an amateur, that I was gonna do really well as a pro. I sparred with the likes of Luisito Espinoza, Manny Pacquiao. I've sparred with Manny Pacquiao. I've sparred with Israel Vasquez, Johnny, Danny. Uh, I sparred with a lot of big name pros. Anyhow, and I've held my own with all of them. So that's when I knew like I could do this. You know, unfortunately, I didn't do everything that I planned, but yeah, it worked out pretty well.
You don't have to tell us who won. You don't have to give us the details, but who were your favorite gym wars with?
Uh Man, they were all pretty special. I tell you right now, the one that was really interesting was Israel Vasquez. By the way, rest in peace to him. But Israel, I didn't expect him to be so mobile. He's also real, go forward type guy, but he was, he's in one spot and the other, you know. The other thing that was crazy about that was he looked just like Danny Romero. I was like, what the hell? He looked just like Danny Romero. He fought like him. It was pretty crazy.
Everybody's got a doppelganger out there.
Yeah, I think that was pretty close to it. I even told him, I said, "You look like Danny Romero." He goes, "I know. People tell me all the time."
You're out there, you're making big waves. I'm looking at the early resume and there's a name that jumps out to me because I covered a lot of his career also. You fought Tony Valdez.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
like, that one jumps out to me. What was that fight like?
So at that time, Tony was 5-0, 5 knockouts, and I'm on the come up, and they offered me to fight him. I'll be honest, I was a little nervous about that fight because uh, Tony's a good fighter, he's coming off of 5 wins, 5 knockouts. But at that time, honestly, I felt that nobody could beat me. And I remember getting in there and we're fighting. You could ask Tony about this, he'll tell you. We're fighting, and in the middle of it, because like I said, he was 5-0, 5 knockouts. And he hit me with the like a 1-2, and I kind of like slid it a little bit. And then in his ear, I said, "Is that all you got?" And then he goes, "What?" Well, he got really mad. But from that point on, his mindset wasn't the same. He wasn't was like lunging for everything. He was really trying hard to hit me. I was just boxing him, staying on the outside. Um, yeah, but Tony's a really good guy. Believe it or not, he came down to the gym, to my gym at that time. Maybe I say 3 or 4 months after that, and we had another sparring session, and we used to spar a lot after that. He would come and help out. So that was pretty cool. Tony's a really cool guy.
What was that something that you'd say you were known for? Were you going to get in there, talk the trash and kind of get the guys aggravated, see if you could expose some weaknesses?
It was just more to get in his head. It was more to get in his head. You know, Nowadays, I honestly I feel like today, if I'd have been fighting in this era, they probably would have liked me because I used to get in a lot of people's heads. And social media wise, I've always been big on social media, but they never had like the phones like we're talking right now. They never had stuff like that back then. So I don't even have like a lot of pictures and stuff like that. If that stuff was there back then, I think I would have been a lot more marketable. The way people talk to each other and stuff like that, I would get in a lot of people's heads.
When you look back at the pro career, what was the favorite fight?
Uh, there's a few of them to. I lost the fight, but I felt I won the fight versus Bones Adams. When I fought Bones Adams on ESPN, I thought I won that fight. I took it on 3 days' notice. He's lucky. But yeah, anyhow, Bones and I we still communicate together and stuff like that. I felt that I outboxed him. Um, I felt that he was lunging with a lot of his shots and I'd counter him. Um, there were a couple of times where I got into these little lulls where I'd kind of stay inside and pick shots, pick shots. But I think that the refs, when you're picking shots like that, it looks like you're getting hit. And I think that they weren't really seeing what was going on in there.
We know that the pro career didn't last as long as you wanted it to. You brought up the eye injury. Did you want to get into it, the fight, how or when it happened actually?
So I believe it happened when I fought Yoni Padez. It was a IBF eliminator. It was on Showtime, and believe it or not, Floyd Mayweather was there and he was watching the fight. Danny said that he was there watching me. I don't know how true that is, because Danny could say some things sometimes. But anyhow, uh, Floyd Mayweather was at those fights, and Yoni, I thought I was doing pretty good with Yoni, but I came back to the corner, and I'm talking to Danny in the corner, and I tell him, "Hey, I think you got Vaseline in my eye." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "Why? You can't see it?" I said, "It's just real blurry." And he's like wiping it, wiping it. And I go back in there and we're fighting. And, it's just really blurry. And as the rounds went, this is literally like second round when this happens. and it just gets blurrier and blurrier. Next thing you know, it's like pitch black. Picture this screen here, pitch black over here. I couldn't see nothing on this side. And so anyhow, we're fighting, and it gets into about the sixth, seventh round, and he hits me with a left hook, and the referee stops the fight. And it's a real premature stoppage. If you watch the fight, you're like, why did he stop it? Did he stop it? What? Anyhow, the referee had no clue that went on with my eye. As a matter of fact, even the promoters and stuff didn't have no clue about it. We went to the hospital after, and I told them about it and stuff like that. Nothing happened. The next day, I see like these floaters, like it's like floating. It almost looks like if you got oil and put it in water, you see like little floaters. Um, I call the eye doctor, and I said, hey, for some reason I see floaters. What is? They said, come in right away. So I went in, and it turned out that I had a torn retina, and so I had to get surgery on it, and they put like this oil in there, and then I had to be face down for 2 weeks. And so I was walking around everywhere like this. I would sleep on this like the beds that you get massaged on.
Yeah.
I sleep on one of those like that, and I was face down for a long time. Anyhow, I go back to the gym, and I'm training and getting ready and stuff like that. I get a phone call from Nonito Donaire, who's a good friend of mine from the amateurs, and he asked me to go over and train with him. I said, okay, I'll help you with some sparring. So I go over there, and we're doing really good sparring. I mean, I was holding my own with Nonito as well. Nonito's a really good guy. Um, but I was doing really well with him. And then I remember telling him, okay, I gotta go home. And he's like, okay. He goes, oh, I appreciate your help and stuff like that. I never told him why I had to go home, but I went home, and I sure enough I had another torn retina. Doctor tells me that I'm gonna have to get surgery. Every time you get surgery, there's like three different types of surgeries that you have to get done. This time they put this oil. No, it was a bubble. They put a bubble in there to hold the retina in place. So this time I have to stay like this the whole time, so the bubble can flow upward and it'll hold it in place for a while. Um, and I go back to the eye doctor, and he tells me, I advise you not to fight again. I said, well, I got to offer to fight. I'm gonna fight again. He goes, I'm just letting you know it's not a good idea. I said, all right. I get in there, I fight, get another torn retina, three torn retinas. So then I go through this whole surgery thing again, and I get offered a fight, and it was a big fight. And I go to the eye doctor, and I tell him, hey, I got offered a fight. Is it okay if you do a physical on me? He goes, I'm not doing no physical on you. You crazy? He goes, as a matter of fact, I could lose my license. He goes, as a matter of fact, you're not fighting ever again. That was the end of my career. Uh, what was crazy about it is a lot of people thought that I just quit boxing. A lot of people just, I'm no quitter, man. I'm no quitter, and that that bugged me that people thought that I quit, and so after that, I just kind of ignored boxing all in all, and stayed away from it. Didn't talk about it. Sold all my stuff. Um, the only thing that brought me back was my son.
So you got to go buy fresh gloves, fresh pads, everything when you wanted to get him into the gym.
Yeah, a lot of it I had to buy. Some of it, a buddy of mine, Matt, um, gave me a few things. Baca, he gave me a lot of stuff as well. Who else? Yeah, a lot of equipment was given to me. Good thing is, when people know you in the sport, they have a lot of respect for you, so they help out.
And now we've even seen you were in for a little bit the corner of Andreas Ray. So it wasn't just that you came back, you're helping your son. Ray Lopez pulled you all the way, and I'll blame Ray Lopez lovingly. He pulled you all the way into cornering a pro. What was that experience like for you getting back into it to that level?
That was interesting because now you're looking. I'm on the outside looking in, and a big part of it was to help out a buddy of mine by the name of Sergio Chavez, who also worked in the corner with me for a while.
Shout
But
out
yeah,
Sergio Chavez.
yes, Sergio was a great guy. But working with Andres Ray was an awesome experience. I got to share a little bit of my knowledge with him, and got to see the sport from a different view. Got to grow some more love for the sport, and it also gave me a chance to show my son a bit of that angle as well.
Has your son yet shared with you his ambitions? Is he hooked to this like you're hooked to this? Because I had already had to tell him, I was like, no, your dad gets an interview before you get an interview.
Oh man, yeah, he's hooked. He's hooked. Boxing does that. It's kind of like a it's kind of like a drug. I don't like to use the word drug, but it's pretty addicting. And he's got his taste already of it, and I see him. He's learning fast, and sometimes I feel like he's a little too cocky for his own good sometimes. But all in all, like I could see he's a sponge to it. He asks questions, and the thing that's crazy about him is me. I love to watch boxing. I love to watch it. I love to like study. He don't like to watch it. He don't like to watch boxing. I have to like send him little clips here and there. Oh, watch this guy, or watch this guy. See how he hits to the body? Yeah, you throw too many right hooks to the body. Throw left hook to the body because that's where the liver's at. And he's learning though. Yeah.
He's learning. You guys are growing. What does it mean, and how does it feel really to be back involved in boxing again after you had said you had the injury and you shunned it away for so many years? What does it feel like to be back?
Um, for me, it's a blessing, man. Like it's part of it. Part of it is I'm training him, and it's keeping me young. But more than anything, like it's father son time for me. I mean, we get time to talk about things, and like in the corner, I get to see certain emotions. It's pretty crazy. Like being on this end, as a trainer, and showing them things, and your son comes back to the corner and he's got blood right here, and you got to wipe it. It's wild.
It's got to be interesting flipping that switch between dad and coach and trying to manage both roles at one time.
Yeah, well, it's funny because when you get really into it, I ended up pulling Felix Trinidad, his dad, out in the corner and start slapping him. I slapped my son a couple of times. I was like, "Hey, man," I said, "This fight's close. You better get up and go throw that." Um, it's just it's a different approach when you're a father and a trainer, whereas if you're just a trainer, because I remember with Andreas, I was in the corner talking to him, and you know the 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 connections there, but with your son, it's totally different. It's like, you know, come on, come on. And me, I'm a really emotional person, so like I'm down there ready to cry sometimes. Yeah.
He's
But yeah,
emotionally invested. He's involved.
yeah.
David Martinez, boxing's done a lot for you. You've done a lot for boxing. We're glad to see you back involved with boxing. And we're really glad that we had this time for you to stop by ESPN Radio Albuquerque and be on Cage Minds Fight Hour and relive some of this journey with us.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. Um, I did this many times, in the past when I was boxing, and I remember like back then it was like, oh, I gotta do this again. But now it's like, hey, I get the opportunity to do this. It's a little different when you kind of shy away from it for a while. So this is cool.
Shout out Ben Wilson, the Bob Foster Museum, the first pugilistic champion that we had out of the state of New Mexico. Visit cageminds.com for more coverage across the spectrum of combat sports. This is where combat sports lives. Thank you, ESPN Radio Albuquerque 1017, the team. Now, also going to keep David around for a bonus question here for you guys that are watching on YouTube, because there was something I totally didn't even get to that's right behind David. He has a copy now that he's gotten of it, but you said behind you is the very first poster that you were on?
Yeah. It. I. It. Can I grab the phone and
Yeah.
walk it
Yeah.
around?
Yeah.
I want
No.
to show you the Bob Foster Museum, if you don't mind.
Yeah. We haven't put this fully on YouTube. People have seen that corner because I've sat there to do interviews, but not everything.
Yeah, this is really cool. You know, you got a lot of New Mexico champions, up and coming, and in the past, you got a lot of fighters on here. Um, I just want to kind of show you guys around. This is Josh Torres, good friend of mine, really good fighter. Bob Foster. Uh, yeah, there's tons of memories, tons of posters in here. I'm a big boxing fanatic. Okay, I'm a big boxing fanatic. So to bring me in here is cool, and to have this interview is really cool.
That
But I'm gonna.
newspaper clipping right there by your hand is probably my favorite piece in there, where it shows the incredible outline of the segregation that they had when Bob was going to fight in South Africa.
Oh yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
literally, people, we can't zoom in close enough, but it shows the outline of where people were allowed to stand and sit and how far out there the ring is.
okay, I see what you're saying right here.
Yeah, there's literally a fence where it shows where, like, they had one of those outlines and how it gets thinner going in. That's where it shows where the colored people were allowed to be. And because it was South Africa, the rest was segregated out for white people.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I, I, didn't- I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to look into that one. That's really cool.
What was it like for you, though, that poster that I was bringing up that was behind you, to have that done? Like when you were a kid,
This one.
what was it like to see it? Yeah, that one. What was it like to have that made and to see that come to life?
This was one of the very first posters that I've ever had, and Danny Romero, his team at that time, they made it for me. And to see yourself on a poster is just wild. Nowadays, and you could probably put yourself up on a poster easily, but back then, that it was it was different. It was different. You know what I mean? Because that didn't happen often. But also here at the Bob Foster Museum, they have other stuff. This was like my second or third pro fight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that I mean he's got tons of stuff in here, tons of memories. Even this one here. Uh, this is I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
There's Holly Holm there, Hector Munoz. There's me, Alex Becerra, Max Heyman. A lot of local legends here. There's just a lot of memories in here, and like I said, to see all these and to think that I could be a part of it is, it's an honor.
David Martinez, it was an honor to get to talk to you and do this interview.
Thanks for joining us for Caged Minds Fight Hour on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team. Be sure to tune in again next Saturday from 9 to 10 on your locally owned and operated station, ESPN Radio 1017 The Team.